Everyone loves cartoons. Well, almost everyone at least. There are so many cartoon channels out there that have their own distinctive library of animated shows. Nickelodeon has SpongeBob, Cartoon Network has Ed, Edd n Eddy, Disney has Phineas and Ferb, the list goes on. But what if I told you that that's not always the case? What if I told you that in some parts of the world, these shows air on completely different networks than what we're used to here in the United States? Today, I'm going to be showing off 3 cartoons that in other parts of the world aired on completely different networks compared to what we are used to in the United States. There are other examples that I've come across, but I want to save them for a potential sequel video, as I don't want to, have this video be long and bloated and whatever. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see a second video happen, then be sure to like, and if you're new to the channel, then subscribe to the channel, as it would be greatly appreciated. Anyways, with that said, allow us to begin with our first example. Johnny Test is often remembered as a Cartoon Network show, although I imagine there are still a good amount of people out there that remember the show's original home on Kids WB. Canadian folks will remember the show as being a staple on Teletoon, and for the rest of the world, well, here's where things get a little bit more interesting. In Germany, France, and Italy, there's probably other places as well, but those are the 3 that I'm going to use as an example. Johnny Test actually aired on Nickelodeon. And I'm not joking about that either. There are a lot of videos of Johnny Test airing on Nickelodeon, and I mean a lot of videos. And it's just so surreal to see Johnny Test on Nickelodeon instead of Cartoon Network. At the same time though, it weirdly fits. I don't know why, it just kind of does. Like, obviously, I'm not going to ignore the show's original home on Kids WB, but if I had to look between Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon, I think it fits more on Nickelodeon. I don't know, it just does for some reason. Season 1 especially feels this way. If any of you watching this are familiar with the show's history, you would know that Season 1 is a completely different thing from the rest of the series, and honestly, Season 1 fits perfectly onto Nickelodeon. I don't know why, it just really fits in. It just doesn't stand out or anything like that. Like, I could see Season 1 airing alongside Danny Phantom or My Life as a Teenage Robot, and it wouldn't stand out at all. It would fit in perfectly. I'm not sure of why that's the case, but that's just how it is. I've also come across advertisements for Nickelodeon Germany that features various Nickelodeon shows, and Johnny Test is there. Seeing Johnny Test alongside SpongeBob and the Fairly OddParents, and realizing that this isn't like a fan-made thing, this is real, this is actually official, it's crazy. It really is crazy. Another thing that some of these recordings have are bumpers, coming up next, stuff like that within the episodes. And there's just something so weird about seeing like SpongeBob, like an advertisement saying, oh, SpongeBob's coming up next, juxtaposed alongside Johnny Test. Like, this is not a fake image, this is real. And then here's another one with Tough Puppy as well. It's just so bizarre to see. It really is. Now, Johnny Test airing on Nickelodeon is obviously a very bizarre and surreal sight to see, but if you can believe it, things get even more bizarre, because in some parts of the world, such as Spain, Johnny Test airs on the Disney Channel. Yep. That's right. Now, there's not a lot of footage of the show airing on Disney Channel compared to it airing on Nickelodeon. I could barely find any videos of it, any official, real videos, that is. But the fact that it aired on Disney and Nickelodeon in some parts of the world is just super off to me. And unlike with Nickelodeon, it's really off seeing it on Disney. This is where, like, the bizarreness kicks in, and it just, no, this isn't right. This isn't right at all. I'm sorry, but it's not. And once again, as I said with Nickelodeon, you also have those little bumpers and whatnot telling you, what'll come on after Johnny Test, and just seeing, like, these shows, like Phineas and Ferb, juxtaposed with Johnny Test, it's such a weird thing to see. I really don't know what I could say about it that I haven't already said for the Nickelodeon one, but it's just so strange to think that Johnny Test doesn't air on Cartoon Network in some parts of the world, but instead it airs on Nickelodeon or Disney. It's just really bizarre to see. I don't really know what else to say about Johnny Test, so allow me to move on to our next cartoon. I don't know what I could say about the Fairly Odd Parents that hasn't been said by so many other people before. Although the show has fallen from grace harder than any other cartoon out there, it is still a fondly remembered and beloved show. And even with all of this garbage coming out, that will not change the fact that the show is one of the greatest Nickelodeon cartoons ever. Except that the show doesn't air on Nickelodeon in some parts of the world. In some parts of the world, like Spain and the Czech Republic, the Fairly Odd Parents actually aired on Disney Channel. And yes, Johnny Test and the Fairly Odd Parents both aired on Disney in Spain. Wow. Now this is obviously way more bizarre than seeing Johnny Test on Nickelodeon or Disney instead of Cartoon Network, because whereas Johnny Test has a bit of a history when it comes to where the show aired and who owns the show and stuff like that, the Fairly Odd Parents is a Nickelodeon show through and through. But here's the thing, even though this is an original Nickelodeon show made by Nickelodeon themselves, internationally, the show is distributed by a company named Nelvana, and that's why the show airs on Disney rather than Nickelodeon in some parts of the world. Apparently, only the first 5 seasons of the show aired on Disney in Spain and the Czech Republic. Everything after the first half of season 5 moved on to the show's home network, Nickelodeon. I honestly wish that wasn't the case. I wish that they just left it at season 5 and that was it, because then that way people living in Spain and the Czech Republic wouldn't have to deal with any of this garbage. They have no idea how lucky they almost were, seriously. Something that I'm sure most of you have noticed regarding the recent Nickelodeon crossover games like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl or the Nickelodeon Car Racers trilogy is that there is no Fairly Odd Parents representation in any of those games, despite how huge and how beloved the show is. And I've seen a few people claim that this is the reason why, because there could be potential legal issues and whatnot regarding Nelvana owning the first half of the show. And like, people say this is the reason why the Fairly Odd Parents isn't in any of the recent Nickelodeon crossover games, but I really doubt that. Because if you look at the older Nicktoons crossover games, you will see that Timmy is there, perfectly fine, with no problems. In fact, I have to wonder if these games even come out in Spain or the Czech Republic. Probably not, but I just imagine the idea of like a Spanish kid playing this game and wondering why a Disney character is hanging out with 3 Nickelodeon characters. The kid's probably gonna think it's a bootleg or something, I don't know. It's funny to think though. I have to wonder as well if the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour airs in Spain or the Czech Republic. I have to wonder. I guarantee you anyone watching this video that lives in Spain or the Czech Republic is going to be super confused. They're going to be wondering why a Nickelodeon character is shaking hands with a Disney character, and it's stuff like that that just makes this whole thing extra bizarre for real. Just the idea that in some parts of the world, people don't look at Timmy Turner or Cosmo and Wanda or whatever and associate them with SpongeBob, Danny Phantom, Jimmy Neutron, anything like that. But instead they associate them with Phineas and Ferb, Kim Possible, and Jake Long. It's just super surreal. The Fairly Odd Parents airing on Disney instead of Nickelodeon in some parts of the world will never not be bizarre to me, and I imagine it will never not be bizarre to you either now that you have been cursed with this knowledge for the rest of your lives. However, I have run out of things to say about the Fairly Odd Parents being on Disney, so let us move on to our final cartoon, and let me just say, I saved the most bizarre one for last, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. Here we go. I believe The Simpsons needs no introduction. Everyone knows The Simpsons. Everyone loves The Simpsons. There's already a lot of information that people already know about the show. It's been on the air since 1989, technically earlier than that if you count those shorts that were made. It's the longest running cartoon of all time with over 700 episodes, and it's still going on to this very day. It's long past its prime, and its golden age has been long over for a very long time now. There's been more like mediocre dark age stuff compared to golden age stuff. Yada yada yada. I'm not here to bore you with information that you already know. I'm here to tell you something new, something interesting, something very, bizarre, something that will genuinely surprise everyone watching this, more so than Johnny Test airing on Nickelodeon and Disney, or the Fairly Odd Parents airing on Disney. Trust me, you guys are not prepared for this. You are not prepared. Sometime in 2006, in the Philippines, The Simpsons aired on Cartoon Network. I am not joking about this. This is real. This actually happened. And it is insane. Now, unfortunately, unlike with Johnny Test airing on Nickelodeon and Disney, and the Fairly Odd Parents airing on Disney, there isn't a lot of proof out there of The Simpsons airing on Cartoon Network. All I could come across are a compilation of ads of the show and this magazine advertising the show, with one of the pages being ripped off. I'm not going to read what the magazine says, so if you want to pause the video and read it yourself, feel free to do that. But it's just super weird to think that The Simpsons aired on Cartoon Network. Not on Adult Swim, on Cartoon Network, just straight up on Cartoon Network. I mean, to be fair, compared to other adult cartoons, The Simpsons is much more tame. Like, if you compare it to like BoJack Horseman or South Park or anything like that, it's much more tame, and I guess it's a little bit okay for kids to watch it. I mean, I watched it when I was a kid, but then again, I was also one of those kids that watched Family Guy and King of the Hill on Adult Swim, so I probably shouldn't be the one speaking. It's unknown how long this lasted for. All I know is that this was in the Philippines and it was in 2006. It's not known how long it started. A lot of the ads mention the date of April 20th, which I guess could be when the show started airing on Cartoon Network, but it's not known how long it lasted. And considering the fact that there are a lot of Simpsons episodes, it's not known exactly which ones aired on Cartoon Network. Another strange thing that I've noticed is that even though this happened in the Philippines, both the ads and the magazine, they're both in English, despite this being in the Philippines. So what we have here is lost media, essentially. I would love to find footage, official footage of The Simpsons airing on Cartoon Network, but unfortunately, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I'm pretty sure this is just gonna be lost media. I tried using the Wayback Machine and going onto Cartoon Network's Philippine website, since that's another thing that I use to verify if a show aired on a different network. For example, if you use the Wayback Machine on Nickelodeon Germany's website, you could easily find Johnny Test there. That's just an example, but unfortunately, I went back in time to 2006. I went to Cartoon Network Philippines website, and it's not that I didn't find anything on the website. I was unable to enter it because it required Flash to go onto it to even see anything on it. And considering the fact that I don't know how the Wayback Machine 100% works, but I know like Flash stuff is disabled, and also because Flash ended in 2020, so that's another thing. Any proof of The Simpsons being on Cartoon Network's Filipino website, gone. Just like that, which is a massive shame, but unfortunately I don't think we can do anything about it. Aside from these ads and the magazine, that's all we have for The Simpsons airing on Cartoon Network. Even though The Simpsons is much tamer when compared to other adult cartoons, it still has a lot of adult themes in them, and I imagine these, there would be edits and censors and whatnot made to the episodes to help make it more kid-friendly, and that alone would make it more worth it. Aside from the novelty of seeing The Simpsons on Cartoon Network, seeing like what changes they would have made to make it more kid-friendly, it would have been crazy to see. So it really sucks that there's no footage of the show airing on Cartoon Network except for these ads and a magazine. That's basically it. And that really sucks, honestly. On a more positive side of things though, seeing how this was in 2006, that means that this occurred during the CN City era, which means that we have Simpsons themed advertisements from that era, which, well, they're certainly interesting to see, that's for sure. Not to mention as well, I've made a stunning realization while working on this segment. The Simpsons, a Fox cartoon, aired on Cartoon Network in the Philippines in 2006. Family Guy, another Fox cartoon, originally started off as a short called Larry and Steve, which aired on the What a Cartoon Show, which aired on Cartoon Network. And then you have Adult Swim, the brother-sister block to Cartoon Network. I don't know how to word it correctly, but hopefully you understood what I was trying to say. Which airs, or should I say aired, thanks Disney, various Fox cartoons, most notably King of the Hill and Family Guy. Guys, I'm starting to think Warner Bros. Should have bought Fox and Disney should have bought Discovery instead of the other way around. I feel like things would have worked out much better if it went that way instead. Anyways, that's about it. 3 cartoons that in other parts of the world aired on completely different channels compared to how they are in the United States. Again, as I said before, I do have a sequel video planned, but that's going to be for a while later. It's not going to happen right now. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and with that said, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you everyone for watching, and goodbye. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. A while back, I made a video talking about cartoons that in other parts of the world air on completely different networks compared to what we are used to here in the United States. This is a topic that I've been fascinated with for quite a while, and you guys really seem to enjoy the first video that I made, so I knew I had to make a sequel video. So today, we are going to be looking at more cartoons that air on different networks in other parts of the world. Before I begin, I just want to say that if you enjoy this video, then be sure to like, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe as well, as it would be greatly appreciated. With that said, let us dive in to our first cartoon. Rick and Morty is a good show that I unfortunately have a bit of a negative history with. That, combined with recent events that have happened regarding the show, yeah, I'm gonna try and make this segment as brief as possible, okay? I originally hesitated as to whether I want to add this into the video or not, but against my will I had to add it in because I could not think of a good replacement to include. Now, Rick and Morty is a staple of Adult Swim, arguably the most famous cartoon on the network. However, it airs on other networks in other parts of the world. In Germany, Rick and Morty airs on Comedy Central. Now, at first glance, this might not seem that bizarre since it is a common trend for adult cartoons to air on different networks, but the thing is, it's only Fox cartoons that do these. Family Guy and American Dad and whatever, like, they do that, but not Adult Swim shows and not Comedy Central shows. Like, you're never gonna see South Park air on Fox, for example. Believe me, I've checked. In no part of the world does it air on Fox. This sort of thing only happens with Fox cartoons. It doesn't happen with other adult cartoon channels. So seeing Rick and Morty on here is very bizarre, to say the least. But that's not all. In addition to Rick and Morty, Comedy Central Germany also airs Family Guy, American Dad, and Bob's Burgers. Now, this is considerably less bizarre than Rick and Morty airing on Comedy Central Germany, because these are all Fox cartoons, and Fox cartoons, they do air on different channels. Not to mention as well that Fox and Comedy Central do have a bit of a connection, since, as most of you know, Futurama was originally a Fox cartoon for its first few seasons, and then it got cancelled, and then it got brought back as a Comedy Central show. And there was a brief period of time between the late 2010s and early 2020s where the Cleveland Show aired on Comedy Central. However, these 3 specific shows have never aired on Comedy Central in the US. They have aired on other networks such as Adult Swim, but not on Comedy Central. But wait, there is more. There's a very good chance that SpongeBob SquarePants airs on Comedy Central Germany, because if you go onto their Facebook page, you can find various memes and whatnot from SpongeBob. Now, this is simultaneously more bizarre and less bizarre than the other 4 shows. It's less bizarre because SpongeBob is a Viacom show and Comedy Central is a Viacom network, so it's not really that bizarre. But then you remember that SpongeBob is a show that appeals more to younger audiences, and Comedy Central definitely isn't a channel that kids should be watching. So it's just really crazy to think that these 6 shows all air on the same network in Germany. Like, what the f***? That is insane. First, you have Johnny Test airing on Nickelodeon instead of Cartoon Network in Germany, and now you have this. Man, what is up with German Viacom channels? Seriously, can it get more bizarre? Actually, yes it can, because these 4 shows specifically aired at one point on MTV Germany, and I do have screenshots to prove it, which you can see on screen right now. Also, Nickelodeon Germany, we have to talk about, because Johnny Test airing on there is just the tip of the iceberg. But we're gonna save that for later. Let us move on to our next cartoon. In the first video, I talked about how the Fairly OddParents aired on Disney Channel and Disney XD in Spain rather than Nickelodeon. While doing my research on this topic, I decided to check out the Spain websites for Disney Channel and Disney XD via the Wayback Machine. Although I didn't find anything relating to the Fairly OddParents on either website, I did find something on the Disney XD Spain website that I think is just as interesting. I found this. Nope, I don't see anything wrong here. Perfectly normal image. That's right, Total Drama Island aired on Disney XD in Spain. American viewers associated with Cartoon Network, Canadian viewers associated with Teletoon, Spain viewers associated with neither one. Now, there isn't a whole lot of information out there. If I go on the webpage for it, it's very bare bones, as you can see, because I need Flash, and, well, that's never gonna happen in a million years. But I have come across advertisements and whatnot. Here's a Halloween advertisement from 2012 where you can clearly see Total Drama Island is right there. And I think the fact that this exists at all, the fact that you can find it on the website I think is good enough proof. Like, I don't need to find an episode airing or anything like that. It's just really weird to think that Total Drama Island aired on Disney XD and not Cartoon Network or anything like that. The weirdest thing is that this was sometime in the early 2010s, specifically 2012 is the date that I'm gonna put. So I find it really weird that it's Island specifically, because Island ran from like 2007 to 2008. I don't know why they went with that. I believe Total Drama World Tour was like the most recent one during the time of this. I'll admit that I'm not too familiar with the Total Drama series. I never watched it when I was a kid, so forgive me for, if I get anything wrong. But yeah, it is really weird to think that a show that many people associate with Cartoon Network and Teletoon, it's on Disney XD. This took me completely by surprise, and I was not expecting it at all, for real. I came across this when I was doing work on the first video, and I immediately knew that when I had to make a sequel video, I had to include this in, so here we go. With that said, allow me to move on to our final set of cartoons. Yes, cartoons, not just one cartoon, numerous cartoons. Believe me, just like with the first video, I saved the most bizarre one for last. Nickelodeon Germany is a goldmine when it comes to this type of thing. In the first video, I highlighted how Johnny Test aired on Nickelodeon Germany, but Johnny Test isn't the only cartoon to air on Nickelodeon in Germany. The following shows also aired on Nickelodeon in Germany: Adventure Time, The Amazing World of Gumball, Sonic Boom, and My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. Listen, regardless of how you feel about this show, you cannot deny it's very weird to see it being on Nickelodeon, okay? You cannot deny that. Again, you gotta remember that this isn't just one show. No, this is a variety of different shows. You put these 5 shows alongside other actual Nicktoons, and it's just really crazy to think. And not to mention the connections that people will have to these characters with Nickelodeon. Like, people in Germany associate Gumball and Adventure Time with Nickelodeon, not Cartoon Network, and that's just the weirdest thing to me, for real. It's especially interesting with Adventure Time since, as most of you probably know, Adventure Time originally started off as a pilot for Nickelodeon in 2007. However, Nickelodeon rejected the show, and it was eventually picked up by Cartoon Network. So it's just really weird to me that in Germany it was never like that. It's like Germany shows this like weird alternate universe thing where Adventure Time stayed on Nickelodeon and it didn't get like rejected and picked up by Cartoon Network. It's just so weird to see. Nickelodeon Germany truly is a sight to behold. The connection that people have to these 5 shows, connecting them with Nickelodeon, it's weird. It really is weird, especially with Gumball and Adventure Time. It's not so weird with the other 3, but it's especially weird with Gumball and Adventure Time, for real. Anyways, that's about it. I'm sorry this video is kind of short when compared to the first video, but there's a lot less for me to say about these examples when compared to the examples in the first video. And honestly, I'm trying my hardest to make these videos not repetitive, because there's only so many times you can say, oh wow guys, this is so weird, this is so bizarre, etc., before it just gets really stale. So I'm trying to add like interesting commentary, so forgive me for that. I don't know if there's going to be a 3rd installment to this series. I really don't know, honestly, because again, I don't want these videos to become repetitive and stale, and also I am running out of like options to find. I'm running out of like cartoons to find, so there's that. I use the dubbing database for most of these cartoons. That's how I found out about Rick and Morty on Comedy Central and stuff like that. I use it to verify if a show aired. What I usually do is I go onto the dubbing database for a cartoon, any cartoon, and then I see like a weird listing for it, and then I try and find either like YouTube videos relating to this, or I use the Wayback Machine and go to like a specific website. I've come across various weird cartoon airings on the dubbing database, however I could find no way to verify them. I couldn't find YouTube videos for them, and I couldn't use the Wayback Machine to go back in time onto the website, so I had no way to verify it, and thus I couldn't be able to add it into the video. So for example, according to the dubbing database, Doug airs on Cartoon Network in Japan. I cannot verify this at all. I go onto YouTube, I look up Doug Cartoon Network Japan or any variation of that term, and I find absolutely nothing. I use the Wayback Machine and go to Cartoon Network Japan's website, and I cannot find anything there either, so I have to exclude it out of the video. That's how it works when I make these videos. So I'm not sure if there will ever be a 3rd video, but if there is, it'll most likely be the last video I will ever make on this topic. I know that sucks because this is a really interesting topic, but I really don't know what else to put out here for these videos, so yeah. Anyways, that's about it. If you guys enjoy this video, then be sure to like, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, as it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Adios. In the past, I have looked at numerous cartoons that air on completely different channels in other parts of the world compared to what we are used to here in the United States. Although this is a topic that I've been deeply fascinated with for quite a while, and you guys really enjoyed the first 2 videos that I made on this topic, I regret to inform you all that this will most likely be the final video I will ever make on this topic. With that said, I do want to end this trilogy off with a bang, so I hope you enjoyed the video, even if it is the final video I'll make on this topic. Before I begin, I just want to say that if you have not seen the first 2 videos on this topic, then I heavily recommend you do so, because, well, why would you watch part 3 before watching parts 1 or 2? And if you enjoy all 3 videos, then be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, as it would be greatly appreciated. With that said, let us dive right in to our first cartoon. I believe Avatar: The Last Airbender needs no introduction. It is one of the most critically acclaimed animated shows of all time, and I don't think there's anything that I can say about it that nobody else has already said about the show. Except for one thing. Most of us know Avatar: The Last Airbender as a Nickelodeon staple. However, in one part of the world, there is another network that the show aired on. In Finland, Avatar: The Last Airbender aired on Fox Kids. The only proof that I have of this is an advertisement from around 2013. Yes, 2013. I never grew up watching Fox Kids, and I know next to nothing about it. I'm sure there's people watching this that have fond childhood memories of it, but I never grew up with it, and even then I don't think I ever could, because Fox Kids shut down in the US in 2002, and it shut down in Europe in 2004. So it was more of a 90s thing than a 2000s thing, so it's not really surprising that I never grew up with it and I know nothing about it. However, I do know for a fact that seeing Avatar The Last Airbender here is very out of place, considering how much we all know that show as one of Nickelodeon's greatest shows. Apparently, in Finland, Fox Kids lasted all the way up until 2019. So in the US, Fox Kids shut down in 2002, in Europe it shut down in 2004, and in Finland it stayed alive all the way up until 2019, which is really crazy to think about. Again, this advertisement is the only proof that I have of Avatar airing on Fox Kids, and obviously I can't show any footage of it, I can only show screenshots. But regardless, it is interesting to see a beloved Nickelodeon show like Avatar The Last Airbender not only air on a different network that's not Nickelodeon, but also air on a network that in most parts of the world shut down before Avatar even first premiered. While we're at it, I might as well just throw in a bonus, just because. After stumbling upon this commercial, I came across a compilation of different Fox Kids Latin American commercials from 2004, and as you could see from the thumbnail, yeah, there's definitely nothing wrong here. Now, in the first video that I made of this series, I talked about how in some parts of the world, like Spain and the Czech Republic and presumably other places as well, that the Fairly OddParents aired on Disney Channel instead of Nickelodeon. Well, it appears that in Latin America, the Fairly OddParents aired on Fox Kids, which is a very interesting sight to see. Again, there's not a lot of footage of the show airing on Fox Kids out there. I managed to come across a few like screenshots taken from different commercial compilations, and I even managed to find an entire commercial in these compilations, but that's all that I could find. Even if there isn't a whole lot for me to work with, it's still very interesting to see two Nickelodeon shows air on a network that's not Nickelodeon. Especially a network that here in the United States was a mostly 90s thing and not really, 2000s. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of stuff to say anymore about these two shows, so we're just gonna go ahead and move on to our next cartoon. This next segment is going to be considerably shorter than the other two segments because there isn't really a whole lot for me to say about it, but I will try to make it as entertaining as possible. Arthur is yet another one of those cartoons that needs no introduction, and again, I don't really know what I could say about it that hasn't been said by so many other people already. Except for one thing. Here in the United States, we associate Arthur with PBS Kids, but in the United Kingdom, Arthur aired on Nickelodeon. Again, there isn't really a whole lot of footage that I could find for this. I managed to come across a couple commercials, and I managed to find a small 20-second snippet of an episode, but that's about it. Honestly, Arthur airing on Nickelodeon isn't really like that weird, to be honest. I mean, I guess it's a little strange that it's on regular Nickelodeon and not Nick Jr., but that's it otherwise. I don't know why. I know this sounds weird, but for me, Arthur airing on Nickelodeon in the UK kind of makes sense. It's just this super specific thing, but it just works for some reason. Now, I have no idea how long the show ran on Nickelodeon for, because most of the clips and whatnot that I found of the show airing on Nickelodeon, they come from the really early 2000s, like around 2000 and 2001. And this is important information because we all know that Arthur ran for a very long time, from 1996 to 2022. I tried going on the Nickelodeon UK website as it is currently without using the Wayback Machine, however I could find nothing relating to Arthur at all. I then tried going on the Wayback Machine and going like to earlier versions of the Nickelodeon UK website, but I couldn't find anything, so it's unknown how long Arthur ran on Nickelodeon in the UK. Again, I'm sorry for this part being very brief, but there isn't really a whole lot for me to say about this. It's not that weird. I mean, I guess it's a little bizarre to see Arthur on Nickelodeon, but it's not really, it's bizarre, but it's not Simpsons airing on Cartoon Network in the Philippines bizarre, if you get what I'm saying. With that said, I do want to move on to the final segment, so let's go ahead and do that. And believe me, as per tradition, I saved the most bizarre one for last. In part 2, I talked about how Nickelodeon Germany was a goldmine for this sort of thing. Adventure Time, The Amazing World of Gumball, Johnny Test, and My Little Pony Friendship is Magic all aired on Nickelodeon in Germany. Well, as it turns out, Nickelodeon Germany might have some competition. Who's the competitor? Disney Channel Germany. That's right. Now, originally this segment was only going to be for one cartoon, and that's it. That cartoon in question being We Bare Bears, which I'll admit I've never seen, and I know almost nothing about it, but I know it as a Cartoon Network show. But that's not the case in Germany. It aired on Disney in Germany, and not Cartoon Network. The only proof that I have of this is an advertisement for the show, and that's it. I tried using the Wayback Machine to see if I could find any more details on We Bare Bears airing on Disney, but unfortunately I was unable to find anything. And that's when I decided to look for like the social media of Disney Channel Germany. The first thing I did was went on their YouTube page. I was not ready for some of the stuff that I was about to witness. In addition to We Bare Bears, the following shows all air on Disney in Germany. My Little Pony, which this isn't Friendship is Magic. I have no idea what this is. I'm not a brony, nor do I ever intend on becoming one. I have no idea what this is, but I know My Little Pony is not a Disney thing, so there's that. A Kung Fu Panda cartoon. A Boss Baby cartoon, which, keep in mind, these are both DreamWorks properties. Just think about that. 2 cartoons based on 2 DreamWorks movies air on Disney. Apparently, at one point in time, there was a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs cartoon, which, okay, that exists, I guess, and it aired on Disney in Germany. Now, keep in mind that Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is a Sony movie. So that's another cartoon that's based on an animated movie from a rival studio airing on Disney. And then finally, you have Friends. Yeah, Friends. I know that Friends is not a cartoon, but this is too bizarre for me to not include. Friends is on Disney. Friends is like, I've never seen it. I know nothing about it. Doesn't really look like my kind of show, but it feels weird seeing it on Disney. You know, let's just take some time to acknowledge all of the classic and iconic Disney Channel sitcoms that we have gotten throughout the years. That's So Raven, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Hannah Montana, Friends. Ah yes, my favorite Disney show. Much like with The Simpsons airing on Cartoon Network in the Philippines, I am guaranteeing that this is like an altered, like clean version of Friends, because I imagine Friends does have like adult themes in it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if it's like it's kind of okay for kids to watch it. I have no idea, honestly. But in the chance that there's edits and whatever, that makes it even more interesting. My favorite thing is that Disney doesn't even have a late night, program block thing, whatever. Like, how Nickelodeon has Nick at Night, Cartoon Network has Adult Swim. Disney doesn't have anything like that. So you could just be watching Phineas and Ferb or whatever, and then out of nowhere, boom, it turns to Friends. Such a weird thing. I don't know what's weirder, the fact that Friends aired on Disney Channel in Germany, or the fact that 2 cartoons based on 2 DreamWorks movies aired on Disney in Germany. I mean, to be fair, here in the United States, it's not that different. A few years ago, there was this Hotel Transylvania cartoon, and it aired on Disney in the US, despite Hotel Transylvania being, a Sony movie. But it just feels extra weird for DreamWorks because of the established rivalry that Disney and DreamWorks used to have, and arguably they're currently having it now again, thanks to how good Puss in Boots was when compared to most of Disney and Pixar's recent outings. Before I wrap things up, I just want to say that I did indeed check for it, and unfortunately, no, Cartoon Network Germany isn't really that bizarre. There's no like weird out of place shows that air on Cartoon Network Germany. It's perfectly normal. Honestly, a shame that the Holy Trinity will never be complete, but well, things happen. To think that I discovered all of this, to think that I originally just wanted to do research on this one cartoon and try to find, proof that it aired on Disney, extra proof in addition to that one advertisement I brought up earlier, and I end up coming across a gold mine of this sort of stuff. Seriously, 2 DreamWorks shows on Disney. That's just such a weird thing, I swear. That will never not be weird to me, okay? I'm sorry. Anyways, that's about it. I'm sorry, but this will be the final main video in this series. I know you guys really like these videos and you find this to be an interesting topic, but I'm gonna have to stop making these videos after this one because it's honestly getting kind of repetitive trying to think of like new stuff to say regarding these. Like, I didn't even bother trying with Arthur on Nickelodeon. Like, what am I supposed to say about that, honestly? And also, making these videos has become a chore, you know, just trying to find, you know, information, trying to find proof that these shows aired on these networks. It's a hassle. To make up for this though, I have one final video planned. I know that I said this would be the last video, but this is the last main video to have more than one cartoon together. This next video will only focus on one cartoon, and it's actually one that really interests me for a multitude of reasons. I was originally going to put it into this video, however I decided it would be better if it was its own separate video, so yeah, there you go. I don't know when that video is going to come out. I don't know if I'm going to make that my next video or if I'm going to like save it for later, because making these videos, it's a chore to make these videos, and honestly I want to focus on something else for the time being and let you know. And then when the time comes, I make this video, this fourth and final video. But I'm still deciding, I'm still debating. Maybe I'll make it next, maybe I won't, maybe I'll save it for later. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, I hope you enjoyed this trilogy of videos, and now you've learned a lot of cursed knowledge that you can never unlearn. Sorry not sorry. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to like, and if you're new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing, as it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and I will see you all next time. Adios.